Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for another horoscope report for the upcoming Cancer full moon that happens in just a couple days, but this energy will be unfolding over the next couple weeks. And again, this is through the lens of evolutionary astrology, which is a bit different. We can describe the planetary energies as I see them right now, the archetypal fields that are very activated for us, and within those fields is a range of potential between light and dark, and that's where our own free will comes into play. We can strive for the higher end potentials of these energies, and in so doing accelerate our growth process and evolution, or if we stumble into the dark side or an egoic response or fear-based response, then we therefore slow our evolution. So it's ultimately up to us how we want to playfully co-create with the divine. Before we dive into this Cancer full moon, let's take a step back and look big picture for 2022. And this year, although it's going to be challenging, okay, it feels different than the last 2 years. The last 2 years, we very much felt stuck in the mud. We haven't been able to gain much progress. And I feel like that's going to loosen up a little bit this year. We still have the ongoing two major events, the Pluto-Eris square and the Saturn-Uranus square. Pluto-Eris is about really highlighting the dark side of competition, which we're seeing in corporations today, which have gained way too much power. And in some countries, we could even call them corporatocracies, instead of democracies. And then we have the light side of the force, if you will, the more loving expression of competition, where we have in mind the betterment of humanity. And sure, some of us compete against each other, but it's in the spirit of innovation. It's like, how can we take this further? It's more love-based instead of fear-based or greed-based. High consciousness, low consciousness. So that's still going to be a prominent theme this year. And also the Saturn-Uranus square, I'm sure you're all aware of it. It's highlighting the themes of control, Saturn versus freedom, Uranus, okay? Restriction versus liberation, centralization versus decentralization, at square to each other, at cross purposes with each other, creating friction, okay? That continues this year, although that is going to loosen up a little bit. The 3 exact squares between Saturn and Uranus all happened last year. There's no more exact squares. It doesn't mean it's still a major event. They're still within orb of each other. It's still prominent this year, but it's starting to loosen the grip a little bit. And Uranus is starting to gain some steam, okay? I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but that's going to be a continuing theme this year. So it's a lot of the same. However, a major game changer is Jupiter entering into Pisces a couple weeks ago. Whenever Jupiter is in Pisces, it's really strong because it's the classical ruler of Pisces. And this is a very positive thing. It's the greater benefic, the planet of luck and expansion and good fortune. And it doesn't mean it's all going to be unicorn farts, okay? But there's going to be a lot of more positive in the mix, a lot of loosening. I'm very optimistic about this because it is literally the planet of optimism that is at maximum voltage right now. And it's going to help me and a lot of people have a deeper level of faith in ourselves, in humanity, in the divine plan, because ultimately it is the planet of faith building. And that's the best way to work with Jupiter, period, is asking yourself the question, how am I underestimating myself? How am I underestimating what's going on in the world? How can I inject more faith into my belief systems and get to this more optimistic place, which is a very hopeful, high consciousness state of being, because the more hopeful we are, of course, our actions will have that hope at the foundation of it, and we can help to build a better future. So we can take it back even another half a step back, look even bigger picture, and we recognize that Neptune has been in Pisces, the other ruler of Pisces, since 2012, will continue to be until 2026, which is a rare event. It takes about 164 years or so for Neptune to return. It's a very long orbit, it's a slow mover, to return to its own sign. Okay, so once in every 2 lifetimes, we could say, that Neptune enters her own sign. Precious opportunity. And of those 14 years, it's the archetypal field is active. It's not even, it's spiky. And we're at the top of the spike now, this year, as the other ruler of Pisces joins in that sign. They come together in April, okay? So therefore, the Neptunian possibilities are at maximum now. They have been, but especially this year. And we have the negative potentials of Neptune and the more positive potentials. On the negative side, we have mass hallucination. Okay, we're seeing plenty of that. Okay, also addiction, whether it's addiction to technology or drugs or alcohol. Addiction has increased over the last 10 years. The reason for that is humanity is kind of trying to step up on a higher octave of psychic sensitivity, basically. And when people are more sensitive, okay, they can elect to check out of reality. So we're seeing that with the opioid crisis and people addicted to social media. Okay, so those are two big negatives with Neptune. Positives, it's a recipe for great art. There's been some wonderful art that has come out over the last 10 years. You kind of got to look for it. Look beyond the homogenized, corporate-controlled, different artistic fields. But there's some beautiful visionary art, and Neptune is the visionary after all. And then the Holy Grail, the higher octave expression, the best evolutionary intent with Neptune, which is known as the god of the sea, which is a metaphor of the sea of consciousness. Mystical energy in its own sign of Pisces, the dreamer, the poet, the mystic. Okay, this is very spiritual. Over these 14 years, especially now, humanity is trying to raise their consciousness considerably. They're trying to go up on this very particular Neptunian continuum. Now we want to understand the nature of this continuum I just invoked. It's not how smart you are. It's not how rich you are. It's not how good looking you are. It's none of those things. What is it? Well, we know it when we see it. And of course, we can fool ourselves with these kinds of judgments. But sometimes you look into somebody's eyes and you think, here's an old soul. Or a young soul, for that matter. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the quality of a person. It's on that particular continuum this Neptune motion is happening. It's our consciousness, both on an individual and a collective level. Our consciousness is going much faster up this Neptunian continuum. And that's going to create a lot of crazy out there as people can't handle this level of sensitivity. We're trying to go to a higher octave, okay, in terms of our consciousness. So, the crazy are getting crazier and the saintly are getting saintlier, okay? That's what this feels like. It's the light of our soul, Got to use, metaphor and poetry here because we're trying to capture something into words that's next worldly, that Neptune defines. So how do we work with this energy instead of against it? Well, instead of checking out, we check in. Lean more into daily reflection, contemplation, meditation. Deepen your spiritual practice. Deepen your relationship to your own inner artist. And of course, the more you have a meditation practice, the more you can become the conduit for the muse and tap into that visionary artistic potential that Neptune in Pisces has as a function of it. But you got to work with it. You got to put in the work. And, focusing on your spiritual life is hard work. I mean, I know it might not seem like hard work to sit on a butt pillow and zazen, or whatever meditation works for you. But a consistency of practice can be quite difficult to do, okay? So this year, the intention, Jupiter coming along, this expansive quality on our consciousness, hitting a fever pitch in April when they hit an exact conjunction. This is a beautiful set of energies, even though we got other stuff going on that's still more tense. And we will see a lot of tense in the world, okay? Because of the Pluto-Eris square and the Saturn-Uranus square, we'll see a lot of that. But Neptune in Pisces doesn't get caught up in that. It looks at it in a more detached way. Not a dissociated way, but a detached way. And seeing it as a bit of an illusion, I'm not going to get caught up in the drama of the illusion. I'm going to stay at peace, love, serenity, these very high consciousness subset of emotions, so that we don't get our chain rattled. And it doesn't mean non-action. Okay, you can still take action in the world, but it is in alignment with these more positive subset of emotions and thoughts and actions. Okay, and in so doing, we create a better future. So although this year is going to be a bit bumpy, this is why I'm so optimistic. And the way I look at this is by the end of the year, the average level of consciousness within the collective is going to be higher than at the beginning of the year. And in my opinion, that's all that really matters, as long as we're going up, And I believe the last couple of years, the average human collective consciousness dipped. It went down a little bit. Why? Because we were in such fear states. And you have the media cranking out fear 24/7, just boxes of fear. And it's kind of addicting. It's compelling. You kind of get sucked up into the fear box. And you take that in, okay? Your subconscious takes that in, creates habitual patterns within your psyche, and then you become living through more of that fear state. It goes beyond media, obviously. We've been going through some tough stuff, for sure. But when we operate at a low level of consciousness from this fear state, we're much more easily manipulated by external forces. And then we get caught up in the mass hallucination, just to tie it back into Neptune and Pisces. Okay, that's the big macro level. What about the micro? We still use the macro as a foundation, but now we can tie in more specificities as we contemplate the meaning of the Cancer full moon. We keep in mind that Pluto's right there. Pluto conjunct the sun, opposite the full moon. Moon is connected to our hearts, to our emotional world, and our subjective reality. So during every full moon, no matter what sign it's in, we are more lunatic. We are more emotional. Some illustrate this more than others. It really depends on your own personal chart, okay? But people are more reactive because that's what the moon represents, our emotional reactivity. The moon doesn't think. It just feels. It reacts to external stimulus. So during full moons, on average, people are more reactive. People feel emotions in a stronger way. And then we take that into consideration and realize moon is in its own sign of Cancer. We crank that volume of emotional sensitivity, which is already strong during a full moon, to maximum. Even more reactive, more charged. Meanwhile, all that Pisces energy, psychic sensitivity, which creates a perfect storm potentially. And then Pluto in the mix too, very activated during this full moon, is the god of hell, the planet of transformation. So what we're invited to do is transform some of those triggers within us, some of those wounded places deep in the core of our psyches, which are more likely to get triggered as we're more psychically and emotionally sensitive, okay? Ultimately to work on those, to heal those, to release those. That's the positive intent. Doesn't mean it's easy. Those subconscious patterns are habit energies. They've been around for a long time because we've been feeding them, okay? And when they come out to play, they're very strong, okay, especially now. But if you can just learn to tap into that Neptune and into that presence, okay, that still point, that place of letting go, of surrender, and letting the emotions flow through you, and then dissipate. Allow them to flow through the heart space. And I'll be sharing a meditation at the end of this video that's focused primarily on the heart, because this couple week period of time is all about heart. It's all about tending to the needs of our heart, of other people too, people we care about, people we consider family in the broad sense of that term, because moon and Cancer, both of those are linked to family and to the literal home. Now, Pluto is super activated now, as I said, and in the U.S., we're having the first Pluto return after, 250 plus years, okay, since the creation of the United States. Pluto upon its, or the U.S. upon its birth, Pluto was in the right around 26, 27 degrees in that second house. And here Pluto's at 27 degrees right now, right next to the sun. The full moon's at 27 degrees. So what this means for the U.S. this year and next year is it's going through a transformation, a major transformation. And with the sun and Pluto in the mix, full moon, a transformation of power and the power structures of the world. And that's a major feature of just what Pluto traveling through Capricorn even means. Meanwhile, Uranus and Saturn, control versus freedom, is going to shake this up. But it's also about dissolving of the old archaic power structures of the U.S., okay, to create something new, to transform, okay, Pluto into something new. So the U.S. is going, it's like the phoenix diving into the ashes to come up reborn. Now, what does it transform into? Something better or something worse? I don't know. That's totally up to us. It depends on what level of consciousness we come from in our co-creative process with the divine. Again, I'm optimistic, just to circle back to that Jupiter piece, okay? But I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen there. I assume a lot of that's going to happen with, money and resources, because it's happening in the second house. Our own sense of self-worth and security. So all second house subjects, but let's just say, broadly speaking, U.S. is going through the death sequence, okay, before it becomes reborn. It's almost like a mini reincarnation. It's a major event, which is stimulated now with this maximum reactivity, okay? Meanwhile, the nodes of the moon are in Taurus and Scorpio. So the south nodes in Scorpio also brings out a lot of temper tantrums, a lot of childlike, wounded inner childlike behavior from people who are triggered in a big way, which is happening now, okay? Meanwhile, the north node of the moon's in Taurus, inviting us to just breathe it out, I circle right back to what I was saying before. If you get triggered, just return to your body. Just breathe in, breathe out, okay? Let go, let it flow through you. Let it burn through this amazing power structure you have right here in the center of your chest, okay? Also with Taurus, it's important to remember that some of the most important things in life are the simple things. Working with Taurus is mastering the art form of simplicity, like enough food, enough rest, animal energy, animal instincts, connecting more deeply to nature. Now, this year, with the Saturn-Uranus square, freedom versus restriction, Uranus is super strong right now because it's what's called stationing. Whenever a planet stations, either retrograde or direct, it appears as though it's standing still in the sky. It's at maximum power. So Uranus right now is at maximum power. So we take that teeter-totter of the tension between Saturn and Uranus is winning a little bit, I guess you could say. That's not exactly the right word, but there's definitely more weight on the Uranus side, okay, in this struggle between these archetypal fields, which is playing out in humanity in a variety of different ways. So big movements for freedom. Probably see a lot of protests too, okay, as people are, more reactive, more emotional. And also claiming more freedom, more liberation, more agency in their life, and striving for Taurus. Even Uranus itself is in the sign of Taurus, meeting up with this north node of the moon in Taurus. Okay, so finding the liberation and connecting more deeply with Mother Earth instead of getting caught up in the craziness of what we have going on in modern society. But ultimately, this is about healing. Okay, so we can get from this more triggered, reactive place, or we can let go. Okay, we can check in. We can surrender. And focus on the beautiful quality of the Great Mother. The Great Mother is sitting before us, and she's saying, come here, sit on my lap. How are you doing? What do you need? And if you sit on the lap of the Great Mother, what's the instinct? To cry, to just release, to let go. That's what this time is all about, potentially, if we don't get caught up in the drama, in the reactions, and just recognize this energy is flowing through us. And we got to feel to heal. That's simple. We got to feel to heal. So taking care of ourselves, taking care of others, and just working on licking our own wounds. And last couple of years have been rough. It can create a place where there's a hardening of the heart, and we just become braced for one damn thing after another, a calcification in our ability to feel. So now it's about softening the battle-hardened heart and striving to connect more deeply to God, whatever that means for you, through our spiritual progress, which again is the core intention of these 14 years, especially this year, so we can leave the end of this year better off emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually than how we started it. So that's the core evolutionary intention, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Now we're going to transition into the guided meditation, where, as I said before, we're going to focus primarily on the heart center, and I recommend using headphones for best results. Enjoy. Let's begin by focusing on your breath. And inhale through your nose all the way down to your belly. And then feel your lungs expand. And exhale from the belly first. And inhale, feel your belly expand, and then your lungs. And exhale. Try to make the in-breath and the out-breath as slow as you can, while also feeling comfortable. The slower the breath, the better. It helps to calm the heart. And on your next inhale, add the visualization of a beautiful sky blue color entering into your chest and spreading out through your entire body, almost like a wave. And on the next inhale, you see the blue color come in and grow brighter. And on the exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. Slow, comfortable, rhythmic breathing. This blue color is very calming. Nice and slow breaths. Maintain this pace of breath with the visualization for another minute, and then I'll come back. Now focus on the chest center and visualize a rosy pink ball in the center of your chest. And each time you inhale, you see that rosy sphere grow brighter and expand. And calm all your emotions and desires. And as you maintain this visualization, begin to feel self-love. And take this time to honor yourself and how far you've come. And at the center core of your being, you are pure light. And wish for balance in your emotional world and balance with your desires. And again, with each inhale, see this pink sphere grow brighter and brighter. And with each exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And maintain this visualization while feeling self-love for some more time, and then I'll come back. Now visualize somebody who you consider family standing in front of you, looking at you with a blank expression on their face. This can be somebody who's going through a tough time, or somebody you just want to connect with on a deeper level, a heart level. And visualize yourself sending this pink energy out from your chest to this person and completely enveloping them in this pink energy in the shape of a pink egg. And with each inhale, you see more of this pink energy surrounding this person and becoming quite bright. And they can feel it. And you see their previously blank expression soften as they let go of their tension and release. And see their heart open up to accept your love. And then they reciprocate their love back to you, going from separateness to union. And you see their expressions and your own looking joyous. Maybe there are tears. Maybe there is laughter, or both. And on the next inhale, I want you to bring your pink energy back to you, into your chest. And now expand your attention out throughout your entire body. And now imagine a golden sky above you in your head, and a golden sheath of light around you like an energy egg. And at the center of this egg, you see a white pearl in your heart. And all good things start to attract towards you while you feel completely protected by the golden energy all around you. Now we're going to begin to chant a heart mantra, and it's best if you can chant this out loud so you feel the vibration in your chest. But you can also chant it internally if you prefer. And it's one word: Shreem. The vibration of Shreem is perfect for the heart. So maintain the golden visualization with the white pearl in the heart as you chant along with me. Shreem, 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 Shreem. I want you to continue to chant this, and you can slow the pace a little if that's more comfortable, and just allow the sacred sound to marinate in your heart as you hold the visualization. Continue for a couple more minutes, and then I'll come back. Now inhale nice and deep and hold your breath. And exhale. And one more time, deep breath in. Hold your breath. Feel the energy in your heart. And exhale. Now just focus on that golden egg surrounding you, protecting you. The healing influences of an open heart. And focus on this egg as the music fades.